Battle Through the Heavens, Chapter 124, A Deadly Shadow in the Magical Beast Forest. Having forged his strength through the grueling trials of the waterfall, Xiaoyan has finally begun to turn the tide against his pursuers. The intense training that pushed him to his limits has transformed the young warrior into a formidable force of nature. As the mercenaries close in, they soon realize that the quiet forest has become a hunting ground where they are no longer the ones in control.
The dense forest lay still. Small creatures darted through the brush, occasionally startling flocks of birds into the canopy. This silence did not last. A ragged figure crashed through the greenery, shattering the peace and sending animals scattering in a blind panic. The man ignored the chaos he caused. He scrambled through the shadows, his face pale and slick with sweat. Every few steps, he jerked his head back to stare into the dark woods behind him. He ran like a man pursued by a primeval beast. He broke into a small clearing and saw light flickering in the distance. Relief washed over his face. If he could just reach the open air, he could signal his comrades. Once they arrived, the shadow trailing him would no longer be a threat.
The mercenary lunged forward. He kicked off a thick root, using the momentum to spring toward the light. He was almost there. A frantic grin pulled at his lips. Then the air shifted. A violent, invisible tug jerked him backward. The force was so sudden it killed his momentum and dragged his boots through the dirt. Before he could scream, a dark shape blurred past him. A heavy crack, like a mountain splitting, echoed through the trees. A fist slammed into his chest with the force of a falling boulder. The mercenary's ribs snapped. His lungs collapsed. The impact drove him into the earth, kicking up a cloud of dust. He coughed, spraying bright crimson blood and bits of internal organs across the grass. His eyes rolled back, catching a glimpse of a young man standing on a branch above him. Then his breathing stopped.
Xiaoyan looked down at the corpse. He carried a massive black ruler on his back. He flexed his fingers and exhaled.
11.
He muttered.
If you want to sell a head for gold, make sure it is not your own.
Xiaoyan had been in the woods for 2 days since leaving the valley. In that time, he had hunted down 13 members of the Wolfhead Mercenary Company. He felt no pity for men who tracked him for a bounty. Any mercenary below the rank of an 8-star doge was dead the moment they crossed his path. Without the weight of the heavy Xuan ruler, Xiaoyan moved like a ghost. Even a 7-star doge could not last 20 rounds against him unless they possessed top-tier do techniques. No one in the Wolfhead Company had that kind of power. He had interrogated a scout the day before. The company was led by Mu She, a 2-star doshi. Below him were 2 high-ranking officers, one at 9 stars and another at 8. Aside from those 3, the rest of the company was fire. Xiaoyan stepped off the branch and vanished into the trees.
Mu Li,
He thought.
I told you the game was just beginning.
Back in the mercenary headquarters, Mu She slammed a fist onto the table. A porcelain teacup shattered into white shards under his grip. He roared at the scouts standing before him. The hall went silent. No one dared to breathe while the commander was in a killing mood.
We have lost 15 core members in 2 days.
Mu She hissed. His breath came in ragged growls.
If this continues, there will be no company left to lead.
The officers traded uneasy glances.
It is Xiaoyan.
Mu Li said, stepping forward. His voice was tight.
He is the only one who could do this. You said he was barely your equal.
Mu Shi snarled.
Why are 3 of my 7-star veterans dead if he is just a boy?
Mu Li gripped his sword hilt until his knuckles turned white.
3 months ago, he was struggling in that cave. He had to hide just to survive my men. Then he has grown? Mu, he said. His voice turned cold. To kill 7-star fighters this easily, he must be at least an 8-star doge. He has been training in the mountains for months. He is not the same boy.
Mu Li felt a chill crawl down his spine. 2 stars in 2 months? The speed was impossible. It was monstrous. Mu Shi sat back and tapped his fingers on the wood. He forced his rage down, replacing it with iron resolve.
Pull everyone back from the deep woods. Form 5-man squads. Every group carries a signal flare. We will weave a net he cannot crawl out of.
The officers nodded quickly.
Where is He Meng? Masaake, she asked, looking around the room. One of the men coughed.
The third commander took a few brothers into the woods to hunt a snowclaw fox. He said he wanted to give the pelt to the woman at the Blue Flower Tavern.
Fool!
Musha, she spat.
He thinks with his groin while the company burns. If Zhao Yan finds him, he will die in the dirt.
He Meng is an 8-star doge, sir. He can handle a brat.
Mu Shi did not look convinced. He felt a nagging weight in his chest. If He Meng fell, the company would be crippled. Tell him to see me the moment he returns.
He commanded before walking out. Miles away, under a pale moon, Xiaoyan leaned against a tree. He chewed on a bitter blade of grass, watching a camp in the hollow below. 15 mercenaries sat around a fire. The strongest was a 5-star doge, but the man in the central tent was different. That was He Meng, the 3rd commander. Xiaoyan could take an 8-star in a fair fight, but he did not want a fair fight. He needed the guards out of the way first. The moon climbed higher. A steady breeze began to roll through the valley, making the leaves hiss. Xiaoyan smiled. He reached into his satchel and pulled out a pouch of sleeping powder given to him by the little fairy doctor. He waited. 2 guards stood up and walked toward the edge of the camp, heading for the very tree where Xiaoyan was perched. They stopped at the base of the trunk to relieve themselves.
That woman at the tavern. One mercenary whispered, his voice thick with lust. I would give a month's pay just to touch her.
Watch your mouth.
The other warned.
She belongs to the 3rd commander. He will skin you alive if he hears that.
The first man laughed.
I saw the 2nd commander with her last week. He Meng is the only one who doesn't know she is a local toy.
They finished their business and turned to head back. Xiaoyan dropped from the branch like a stone. Before the first man could react, a blade opened his throat. He slumped into the dirt without a sound. The second man turned, his eyes widening in the dark, but a hand clamped over his mouth while a cold edge slid across his windpipe. Xiaoyan dragged the bodies into the thicket. He climbed back into the canopy and began shaking the medicinal powder into the wind. The fine dust drifted over the camp, invisible in the moonlight. One by one, the mercenaries slumped over, their heads hitting their chests as a deep, forced sleep took them. The camp went silent. Xiaoyan dropped to the ground. He picked up a discarded longsword and walked toward the main tent. Inside, the sounds of heavy breathing and rhythmic movement echoed through the canvas. Xiaoyan's lips curled into a cold, hard line as he reached for the flap.